I'm 13 News Now meteorologist Evan Stewart. We're tracking Jose as it continues to spin just off our coastline, and the clouds, the wind, and the rain that we've seen today. Some of those outer rain bands of Jose. It's not a classic looking hurricane. Hurricane Center is still saying it is officially a hurricane, but we still have that comma shape that's more indicative of a nor'easter. So that's what we're pretty much calling it. I think the Hurricane Center is keeping that hurricane classification, so areas off towards the north and even through the coastline of Virginia, people don't let their guard down because the storm is still out there and it's producing quite a bit of rough surf and some very dangerous rip currents. So as we time things out with futurecasts through the evening, still some scattered showers around as those winds come in out of the northwest, but they'll start to taper off later tonight as Jose slowly works away. Northwest winds will continue through the day tomorrow. We'll start things out in the 60s to around 70 degrees, but with a little more westerly component of the wind and increasing sunshine, we'll see a little more humidity and a little more heat. Temperatures back up into the mid to upper 80s. When you factor in that humidity, it'll likely feel like the low 90s tomorrow, so a pretty hot September afternoon. Temperatures by 6 o'clock dropping back into the low to mid 80s. So here's the latest on Jose, at least as of the 2 o'clock advisory. The storm located 255 miles east-northeast of Cape Hatteras, winds of 75. It's forecasted to move off towards the northeast and then sort of drift around as we go through the weekend just off the coastline here of New England. And that could have an influence on Maria as the storm gets closer to the U.S. East Coast in about a week or so. Still a lot of time to watch for that storm as well. But we are seeing some effects from Jose, not just the clouds and the rain and the rough surf, but it is causing some higher than normal tides in the areas in green. That includes the eastern shore, Virginia Beach, and the outer banks of Currituck and Dare counties. We have coastal flood warnings up, and inland spots we have coastal flood advisories because of that northerly component of the wind. We have seen those tides running a bit above normal. Now we'll start off showing you this morning's high tide. We got up to 5.2 feet at Sewell's Point, so that's on the high end of some minor flooding, and that'll be the same tide level that we're forecasting tonight for the high tide at 9:31. Still some issues with some tidal flooding tomorrow morning, but those tide levels go down quickly by Wednesday afternoon. It's a little bit of a different story down across the Outer Banks. Duck today hit 6.5 feet, so right there on the border between moderate and major flooding. We know that Highway 12 down around Rodanthe was closed due to some overwash, and the high tide later tonight at 7:42 is expected at around 6.3 feet, so in that middle of that minor or moderate tidal flooding. And then those tide levels do go down a bit as we go through the day Wednesday. So we are feeling some of the effects from Jose. Certainly nothing that we haven't dealt with before. Our forecast for tonight then, calling for those scattered showers to start to taper off. Skies clear, still windy. Winds out of the north 10 to 20, gusting up to 30 with minor tidal flooding for most locations. A little bit worse down along the Outer Banks, especially through Dare County. And tomorrow 87 degrees, partly sunny skies. Still some minor tidal flooding because of those winds coming in out of the west and northwest. Could also see some sound side flooding as those winds switch around out of the northwest. Things start to clear out a bit more as we head into the day on Thursday. 84 degrees, 83 Friday. Temperatures in the low 80s Saturday and Sunday. And then by the early to middle part of next week is when we'll have to start keeping an eye on Maria.